story number 5, we're going to go to John Fakler. Mr. Fakler, I'm going to read you the headline, first couple graphs, and I want you to go ahead and comment. This is coming out of Bloomberg. Headline: Airbnb is fundamentally broken. The CEO says he plans to fix it. And here we go. Airbnb CEO Brian Chesky hasn't had an easy 2023. First, there was the Airbnb bust frenzy in March, in which hosts took up arms on Twitter, now known as X, about shrinking profit margins and a potential short-term rental bubble. Then competitors Vrbo beat Airbnb to feature that customers have long requested with a loyalty program. And in September, New York City vastly tightened its rules on short-term rentals, nearly squeezing Airbnb out of the market that in the early days represented about 80% of its business. Never mind the increasing strictness of return to office policies, which have hampered the flexibility and spurred Airbnb's business in the pandemic years. By mid-September, when he rolled out a handful of site improvements, it seemed that Chesky had found himself in a catch-22, caught between the conflicting demands of guests and hosts. Top of mind amongst them, guests want to spend less money and be guaranteed a better product, while hosts are worried about potential declines in bookings and their bottom lines. Mr. Fakler, a lot of people come to South Florida. They buy properties. They consider them to be Airbnb, whether or not they're zoned for it or not. They go ahead. They rent places by the night. They rent by the week. Some people rent out mansions and they throw parties. Mr. Fakler, too, you used to host an Airbnb. It wasn't permitted in the place you hosted it. You got some bad reviews, so you stopped doing it. So I'm just wondering if you could give us some perspective in terms of all these projects that are now for Airbnb is encouraged, as well as in situations like you had where it's basically prohibited. What do you make of the fact that Airbnb is trying to fix its model? Can it fix its model? And do we have too many damn Airbnbs down here in South Florida?
Well, there's several things you got to look at here. And in full disclosure, Peter, you also dabbled in Airbnb.
I don't recall. I do not recall.
You don't recall. Okay. But listen, very similar to New York, we've got issues as well with regulations. Certain types of buildings, certain neighborhoods on Miami Beach, it's illegal. You can get fined. It's a criminal offense. So you've got that issue off to the side, which has kind of been there for a while. I think before New York came down with their regulations. But you've also got the economy, which is, this is dovetailing off of what John said earlier about the residential real estate market. No longer, it's not profitable anymore for investors who are buying buildings, maybe a second home, and doing a long-term rental. You're not seeing that as much, but also the short-term rentals like with Airbnb. So you've got that economic issue where guests are demanding actually better amenities. And then you have issues with the those people renting out as an Airbnb where it's not financial viable to do it anymore. So, there's several issues compiled on other issues where right now, certainly it's not a good business.
Let me ask you, we've had a run up in inflation. The Federal Reserve is taking steps to try to calm down inflation. We also have a greed element here. How much of this has to do with the fact that hosts want more money and guests simply don't want to get ripped off like many Airbnbs seem to be doing down here in South Florida, where some Airbnb prices, if you go online and check it out, they're comparable to what they're charging in a hotel. So how much of this is greed versus the way it first started when it was more, kumbaya and people were sort of working together as more of a community rather than straight up greed where homes are being purchased with the intent of Airbnb being out the entire time?
Well, I think that you've got a valid point there. I think that's actually true. I think it was more of a symbiotic relationship when it first started. I know when I did my B&B, I always jacked up the prices when there was like a music festival in town. And unfortunately, I had a few issues where, I won't go into the details, but, I had one visitor who lost a key, got into a fight on the beach. His mother called me. It was a nightmare. So, it was something that I know you had better luck than I did. Mine was pre-pandemic. You ran yours, I think, during the pandemic. So yeah, I think there's definitely a different change. It was much more symbiotic because you really needed each other in the early days of Airbnb.
Mr. Fakler, just to clarify, when I did Airbnb, it was prior to the pandemic, and I was renting out rooms in a home. You were in a 1-bedroom apartment, high rise. You were sleeping on your couch and running out your bedroom.
Wow.
Little did that
I didn't know what I was doing.
Little did that guest know when they walked out in the morning, you were laying on a love seat and you're about 6'4", with your legs strung all over the edges. So let's not compare my situation where I'm running out of room to your situation where you're couch surfing and you're renting out that room for 150 to 200 bucks a night to somebody unbeknownstly who simply wanted to go to Ultra.
I got some bad reviews. Let me tell you, I got the worst reviews probably ever in the history of Airbnb.
Hey, Peter.
Yes, Sean.
Peter. I think there's also another issue, which is I think there's an oversupply of Airbnbs.
Yes, yes.
And I think that's pretty clear. And so owners of Airbnbs or people who invested in condos and homes hoping to Airbnb and cover their nut are not able to do that. You know, and the other thing too is, so you may recall, and we discussed this, I think in our first season, but the city of Miami Beach tried to impose regulations on short-term rentals, and they were not successful.
Correct.
In fact, they tried to ban it, and actually they lost. So it seems to me that Miami Beach is much more liberal about allowing short-term rentals and Airbnbs because basically they got spanked in court for trying to limit it.
That's right.
The opposite of New York. So I'm thinking Airbnbs are here to stay. And it seems that every condo project that's being built right now is sort of, marketed as a Airbnb potential. And, so it seems like the supply is still coming online.
Hey, John, you had sent me a post on Twitter. Can you kind of sort of refer to that or provide some insight?
Yeah, it was Broward County. Someone had created a map that showed with little red dots all the listings, and there were just a few for the listings. And then they counterimposed the Airbnb map, which was like a giant red blob. It was like tons of properties available for rent on Airbnb. It just showed, what the impact of Airbnb is, or short-term rentals are in this market. It's really stunning to see. It was pretty impressive.
Oshrat, would you like to offer anything about the Airbnb?
Yes, actually, I think on my newsletter a few weeks ago, I did a story about how the summer shook out for Airbnb owners in Florida markets, and it was pretty negative across, including Miami, Orlando, Fort Myers, and I mean, and it's not unique to Florida. I mean, it happened. A lot of the places that were popular with Airbnb locations suffered a lot this summer because of the oversupply. I mean, there's a company called AirDNA, which actually measures the number of units available at any given time of year and how that compares to the previous year. And they actually track rental rates by market. I mean, it's a pretty great data source. And and I think if I recall, in August, I think it was something like there were 12% more rentals across the U.S. in August of this year as opposed to last year. And I think if September, it was even close to 30%. And so what happened was, during the pandemic, 2021 was like the banner year for Airbnb, right? Nobody's going on vacation. Everybody's working from home. Let's find a beach. And then also interest rates are low. So get a friend, get a buddy. Let's go buy a couple of, we're all real estate geniuses and we're all going to go buy something, rent it out because, hey, in 2021, it's great. It was like full occupancy plus, right? Can't lose, never goes down. So but what's happening now is that 2022 is also okay, but 2023, and I did look at some of that data, was kind of a disappointing summer in a lot of markets. I think most markets in Florida went down, which really shocked me when I saw the chart. And so now, what do? You want to sell, you want to keep Airbnb. You're going to have to take a cut because interest rates are different now than they were before.
Yep.
So I think that, oversupply, and then as you say in Miami, right? I mean, every new project is all about putting your unit on Airbnb. So I think oversupply is a big issue. And maybe that relieves some of the inventory issues in the housing market when the Airbnb owners sell. But maybe that's the wave we're waiting for.
That's a great point, Oshrat. And I will point out to some of the audience, if you've never had the pleasure of living in South Florida for quite some time, we have a different type of economics of what you probably learned in if you went to uni or you went to high school. Typically, supply demand, you will adjust the pricing based on how much demand there is. Down here in South Florida, as you sell less, you charge more because the rationale is, let me try to get more off of this sucker because I can't necessarily sell it. So we tend to go the opposite of most economics classes that probably many members of our audience have learned along the way.